We're still in the first month of 2024. I'm going to be going over my 10 happiest makes of 2023. I've had a few weeks to think about it. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing. Limitless sewing. This is a type of video I've been making for a few years now, since 2020 I believe, and I always say the same thing. This is purely subjective. It's all about the feelings I had while sewing that I still remember. I can still remember feeling that happiness and that joy. I'm always singing. You probably don't know that about me, but I'm pretty much always singing when I'm sewing. I'm a very musical person. I have a low singing voice, alto, and I'm just always singing along. I always have music and I feel that happiness. With some projects more than others. Clarify also, I pretty much love everything I make. I take my sweet time pairing patterns to fabric. That is the process that is the most important for me, because I know that that is what makes the garment turn out exactly the way I want it. I have a pretty clear style and vision of what I like. I'm no longer trying to find out what I like and trying to find out my style. I'm sort of done with that. Thank goodness. You know, something about being in your mid-40s is going to help you do that. And I'm about to turn 45. I pretty much know exactly what I like. So I think that makes it easier for me to choose what I want to sew. And it's very rare that I'm going to sew something and then not end up liking it on myself. So I just want to clarify that I love everything. And back in 2023, I sewed 132 garments. I have a whole series on the channel going through a roundup of all the makes. So imagine choosing only 10 of those when I pretty much liked everything. So I've had a few days. I'm going to mention them in no particular order, just in the order that I wrote them down, because there's no way I could put them in order except for maybe one. I know without a doubt what number one is. I absolutely know that. But all the rest, the positions from 2 to 9, those could be any of the other patterns. So I will leave number one towards the end, because that is actually my favorite one from the whole year. So I'll be showing you images on the screen, line art, all those things, so you know. If I have links to the patterns, they will also be in the description box. So let's get on with it. Some of these patterns aren't too complex. Some of them are pretty easy to sew and don't take up that long. And I really enjoyed making them because of the style. I knew I was going to wear them a lot, and it's completely turned out true. And one of them is the one shoulder tank from pattern Emporium. I made this one at the start of 2023. This is an Australian brand, so they're in par with my summer. We're in the same hemisphere. It was hot. I knew it was exactly what I needed. And I made a tank that's black. I've worn that one, oh my gosh, like I wear it basically weekly. I'm always reaching for it. It's so comfortable, it's so fresh. It could be one shoulder, like it has one armhole and everything, but then it goes over the bust. And you can wear it like that, or you could put another strap, and I did opt for the strap because I have to wear bras. And it's black. It's a really nice embroidered knit. It looks like a cotton embroidery and glaze, but it's a knit. It just looks like that, and it's so cool. I love it so much. So I would say that was a really happy make, because I knew it being black with that texture, it was going to be something that I was really going to pull and wear a lot, and it turned out true. In the same number, I'm going to say this is like a 2-for-1. I did a hack where I just lengthened it into the dress, just straightened out the hips so it would sort of lose a bit of the swing style, and I made it using a really cool athletic knit in black and white. That dress, I've worn it to bits. Like I wear it everywhere. Like I'm going out, I just chuck that dress on, and it's great. I love it. Those are very happy makes. I'm just counting them as one because it's just one pattern. I have a leftover rib knit from another project last year, a small amount that's going to be just enough to make a one shoulder tank in navy. I know I'm going to wear that one a lot too. It was definitely out of my comfort zone when I made it, but knowing that it works for me and that I can cover that bra strap and be pretty well covered, I still feel I'm relatively modest compared to other things out there. So I really loved trying that style and discovering that it's something that I really enjoyed. Another favorite of mine during the whole year was the Koda jacket from Love Notions. I'm counting it as one here. I made 3 of them during the whole year, which is quite a lot from my new pattern, you know, to make 3 in 1 year. I'll probably make another one this year and so forth. It's just a really great base. I did perfect the fit by adding a dart so that my jacket is between the regular bust and the full bust option. I wanted my feet to be right in the middle there, and I just added some shaping there with a bust dart. Super happy I did that. And the 3 versions that I made are marvelous. I have one in a type of waffle cotton material. It has a lot of texture. It looks quilted, lovely. I made one at the end of the year in red linen with facings instead and lots of patch pockets. An overlap vent at the back, center back seam. That is gorgeous. But I'm going to say the star is the one I made in May, which is my Chanel-esque looking one. It's still the same jacket. It's still everything the same. It's just that the fabric makes all the difference. This one is lined. I just put the 2 layers, the lining and the main lining together and basted them all around the edges, bound all the edges, and then sewed all that trim in by hand. So much work. I mean, I've spent days and days and days sewing in that trim by hand because I want it to be super precise. I added patch pockets and little round pocket flaps to have it look like that classic style. The whole jacket is interfaced. Wool blend material was loosely woven. It would have sagged and stretched out. I used so much interfacing, but it was so worth it and it was just so beautiful. So I'm gonna say that was a really happy make because I could envision it. I'd always wanted to sew a jacket like that, and it's just so elegant and classic. And the times I've worn it, I felt amazing. So that's definitely going to be a happy make, one of the happiest from last. Another make that's related to the one I just mentioned is the skirt that I made to form that set. So that beautiful Chanel-esque jacket, I wanted to make a set and have a skirt that would go with it so I could wear it together or separately. Had a little bit of fabric left over for a pencil skirt. The Glissando bottoms have a lot of patterns in the same pattern. There's shorts, pants and a skirt with the same waistband and pocket zippers and all of that same features on the top. But it's a really good base for a skirt that I use all the time because I've already done the fitting. I know it fits. I just grab those pattern pieces and use them in different ways. So this time I just simplified it. For the front, I just added an extra volume on the front and added a center front pleat, which I thought was going to look really classic. The back is on the fold. I added a zipper on the side, on the hip, so I could get in a centered zipper, and I fully lined it. I added little pocket flaps with the same type of trim I had left over from the jacket. That was just enough, and it's just so gorgeous. It looks so precious, the curved waistband, everything looks so nice. It was a labor of love to make that set, and I got tendinitis from it, and I still have it flaring up every now and then over here on this end. But that's okay, it was all worth it. The hand sewing did it, but I couldn't see any other way that I could have gotten it to look that good if I hadn't sewn that trimming by hand. If I want to make a project like that later on, which I probably will, I'll just set a longer time frame to make it so that I can sew in smaller chunks and not be doing it for hours and hours on end, you know. There's a pattern from Sinclair that I made, I don't know, maybe towards the middle of the year, called Chloe, and it's got a lovely cow neckline, and the volume for that cow comes from pleats here on the shoulder. It's a very interesting design. I have made other cow necklines before that are just made differently. That was just so beautiful for the pleats to come from just one side, and on the other you have a normal shoulder. It's gorgeous. I made 3 of them there. I made one in a rib knit and a burgundy. I made one in a red sweater knit, which is amazing. But I'm going to say my favorite is the black one just because of how many times I've worn it as well. It's again a very similar fabric to the one from the one shoulder tank. It's an embroidered knit and it's just a staple. I just pull it out all the time. I'm someone that wears a lot of black. I also am one that wears a lot of bottoms in really bold colors. So I know a lot of people don't wear printed pants and printed skirts and whatnot. I am. And so just to tone it down a little bit, I always reach for that black piece on the top. I'm always very happy and excited to make different types of black tops in different styles, in different fabrics for different weather. You know, like I love wearing black, but I'm not gonna go black completely. I love having that printed bottom, and this Chloe top, I've worn it so much. I really loved sewing. It was so easy. Couldn't believe how easy it was to make something that just looks so amazing. Then we have a jacket from Pattern Emporium called Smitten. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna be honest, this one is one that would take a bit longer to sew. So when that pattern was released, I only made one version. I couldn't make more because yeah, it was quite a lot of cutting and marking, interfacing pieces, lots of top stitching, really nice precise sewing, although nothing of the sewing was really hard at all. It's just that there's a lot of pieces and a lot of top stitching, and it's so beautiful because I've made jackets sort of in a similar style, but this one had different features because the sleeves were wider, had a really wide cuff with a little bit of elastic in there. It's different, same as the elastic at the bottom. It just looks so cool. It looks casual but also dressy if I want to. And I've dressed that up to go to church, and I think it works. And I've just dressed it down with jeans and it looks great. It's a little shorter, so it was also going a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's been amazing to wear with dresses that have a fit and flare silhouette. It's just been such a great jacket, and that color is gorgeous. It's just so beautiful, and I was able to have a set later on. So that jacket I highly recommend. It's so nice. It fits really nicely, it's easy to fit, and it's got so many classic features there with the panels and options for pockets. It's just so nice, and the collar is easy to sew as well. In August I had my 21st wedding anniversary. Over the last couple of years I've been trying to make a nice dress for my anniversary, just because I like wearing dresses. My husband, ever since he met me, he knew I was someone that was sewing, and I was always wearing dresses and skirts. It's just the way that I live my life, so normal for me to wear dresses, and try to make a nice one for my anniversary. And I chose the Tempo from Love Notions. I have made that dress before, and this time it was just easy to grab those bodice pieces. I had already hacked it into have princess seams. I always line the bodice, although it's not part of the instructions. I love lining that bodice. I just feel it's more supportive. Instead of doing the shirt panel on the back, I just use a really heavyweight athletic knit, and that gives me the stretch to pull it on over my head because there's no zippers, you know. And instead of doing the long skirt in 2 tiers, I just did one long one. I added a center front seam and had an opening there for a slit. And it's a rayon linen blend, pretty heavy-ish, and it just drapes amazingly, and I feel like a queen. Like I feel so amazing in that dress. I love sundresses so much, and this one has built-in wide straps in the design. Usually dresses have spaghetti straps and little tiny straps that I have to go ahead and alter and make wider, and have to go through all this process. But in this case, the dress was made for everyone to wear, whether you have a small cup size or a large cup size, whether you use a bra with a tiny strap or a heavy duty one like I wear. So it's really great. It just covers everything up, and I don't feel exposed, and I really enjoyed making that. I made it the same day as my anniversary. Well, hubby was at work. I whipped it up during the morning, and then we headed out to lunch, and I was wearing that dress, so it was pretty special. There's a shirt by Itch to Stitch called Nosara that I made in a red and white stripe. It's a pretty classic shirt with the collar features. It has an actual stand-up collar and collar, very classic, nice and easy to sew. And it's a dolman style. What I like about this one is the cup sizes and the fact that there's a dart under here, which is not common to see on dolman styles. It gives you a really smooth side without any little pleats that are pretty common with a dolman style. And it was just so beautiful. The yolks are in 2 layers with a burrito. It's just so neat on the inside. And I love wearing that one open or closed. Sometimes I pair it with a red skirt and I go out fully in red, like a red explosion, or I pair it down with white or black. It's just so pretty, and I was so happy making it. Not just because I like the style, but I just love that fabric, and the fact that it was mainly red made me really happy. There's a pattern by Love Notions called Tinley, and it could either be shorts or a skirt. They have the same waistband, pocket features, but then the style of the shorts can be just straight or really full, same as the skirt. And it's so beautiful. I made 4 of them, but there's one of them that was my favorite, and it was a stripy version. I took my sweet time to match those stripes vertically so that you wouldn't end up with the seam on the front, cutting a stripe in half vertically. I figured out the order of the stripes, red, white, black, whatever the order was, to have it go continuously from one leg to the other, and I did that on the front and the back. I took ages cutting that out. Oh my gosh, it took so long to cut out, but then the sewing was fine. The sewing is easy. It's just that when you're working with stripes, you have to be in a certain mindset, and I was in that mindset. Look. This is my parents' girl cat, and when I came at the start of 2020, you might have seen her. She was a kitten. Another tidbit, I'm a huge cat person. Like, I am 1000% a cat person, and I'm just devastated that I can't have a cat. In Brazil, we do so much travel. We want to be responsible, and it's just really hard to find someone to look after your pet for like a month and a half in the summer, so we just don't have any pets. But my heart aches from not having a cat because I'm just such a cat person. Sorry for you dog people. Dogs are not for me. I know they're cute and everything, but I just could not have one. Cats are my jam. Anyway, those shorts, I love the colors, I love the fabric. It's a linen. I can pair them with all the colors in there. I've worn them with sneakers, I've worn them with little sandals with a tiny heel. I feel like I can dress that up and down. And I've even brought them with me this summer for my trip. It's like I only brought 2 pairs of shorts and those were one of them. So it's really, really cool. I love the style, the fit, everything. The sewing is all so amazing. But that fabric just did it for me, and I was just so happy in spite of having to do all that work for matching the stripes. I was in that mindset of happiness at that moment, even though it was extra work. I could have just chosen an easier fabric, you know. But sometimes from a big challenge comes the most happiness, at least for me, if I'm in the correct mindset, you know. There's a pattern from Itch to Stitch called Islares, and originally it's for a raglan sleeve top made out of knit fabric. The raglan sleeves fit amazing. There's a shoulder dart there which makes it even more amazing, and the square neckline is just golden. So I made a top, beautiful. It's also a nice one, I love it, but I wouldn't say the happiest because the happiest was the dress I made as a hack. I hesitate in calling lengthening a top into a dress a hack. There's no difficult process going on other than lengthening the pieces, but it's not part of the original design to have a dress. All I did was make it longer, and I used an amazing animal print in brown and black tones. It's just so gorgeous. I love the look of that dress. I feel amazing. I love straight dress silhouettes. I think it's one of the types that I'm mostly drawn to because I like the style. I think it suits my tall frame. I've always loved them. They always take up so little fabric as well when I compare it to the amount of yardage you need for a fit and flare or something like that. So I always know that with a smaller piece I can get something amazing, and that's part of the happiness as well, because I try to consume less resources when I'm sewing as much as I can. Sometimes you can't. Some styles just call for a lot of fabric. But when you get something amazing for a small amount of fabric, that is just so great for me. That's an athletic knit, and it's just so lovely. A couple of years ago, I was against animal print. You couldn't catch me anywhere in an animal print. But over the last 2 years, maybe, I've been using a little bit of animal print. I'm super particular about it. I see a lot of animal prints out there that I do not like, but occasionally I see one that I do like. I like that dark brown tone. I think it's very beautiful. I've also really enjoyed gray tones of animal print, so I think I might start wearing more. But that one was definitely a really happy make. I made it after making the top. I knew the fit was amazing. I was very happy with everything. So it's always the second time around that's super relaxing. Sometimes as well, when I'm going the second or third time, I'm not filming. So I'm just really in my head and just following whatever steps I want. And it's just really freeing for me because I'm usually filming, which is not the same sort of relaxed process that I used to have in the past when I didn't have a YouTube channel. I think most of you that watch have never filmed yourself sewing, so you just sew and do it at your own pace and whatever. It's a whole different thing to have lights, a camera, a microphone right here, and concentrating and explaining as you go, adjusting the camera for every angle. You know, although I get a beautiful piece, the process of making it is so time consuming. Sometimes the pure joyness of the sewing isn't the same as it was if you're just doing it, you know, without the camera. But I love what I do. I really enjoy doing the tutorials. But I do have to recognize that when I make it without the camera, that's when I'm just really being myself and just singing along and just feeling that joy that sewing brings, because for me it's a buzz. I love it so much. If I didn't love it so much, I wouldn't be doing what I do and I wouldn't have carried on with this for over 30 years. I started when I was 10 years old and I never stopped, and I'm almost 45 now, so it's been a lifetime of happiness. And I share these makes as happiest makes because I'm really connected to the way that I feel when I sew, and I just love it so much. We've seen 9, and now comes the time for number 1. And maybe if you watch all my videos, or a lot of them, you might be guessing what it is. And it's a trench coat that I made in October, I believe. Isla trench coat from Named Patterns. This is something that I planned in my head for months. I put the poll on Patreon maybe in August or September so that I would have at least 2 months to sew it, because usually it just takes me a month to finalize a project on Patreon, but that was a much more involved one. Not that it was hard to sew, it was just so many steps, little steps. Fully lined. I changed my mind about the lining midway and had to cut out another fabric. The fabric I chose for the lining is a plaid, so I had to take extra time to match all the stripes inside. And yeah, it was so lovely. And that red tencel twill is just to die for. I love the look of that trench coat. It looks like I would have bought it in a really expensive place. I say that myself because I see it. I just put so much dedication and time into that project, and it's just amazing that I made it myself. I never doubt that I couldn't make it. It's just the length of the project. I think the length of a project like that might put a lot of people off trying to sew something like that. But I promise nothing was really hard. It was just little detail after little detail after little detail, lots of straight seams, lots of little rectangles that you had to flip over, that sort of thing. It's not that anything was really, really hard. It just took ages. But I'm so happy I have it. Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to actually wear it because I'm in summer. But I think maybe April, May, I'm going to have the chance to wear it. And when I do, I'm going to really, really love it. And I know I'm going to feel amazing in that red trench. It's not the typical color for a trench, but I'm glad I made that choice instead of making it beige or camel color or whatever. So that's the grand number one. I always knew when I finished it was going to be one of the happiest makes of all times. And yeah, I can't really choose any other make from the year that made me the happiest. Although it was like mixed feelings at times, a bit of exhaustion at some times, but in the end the final product was so amazing that I just had it hanging there and I couldn't stop staring at it. It was just so amazing to make. So yeah, that's all my happiest makes. I'm still in my parents' backyard. Next time you see me here on the channel, I will be back at home with the parrots and the humidity and the heat. My husband and son that I miss so much because we've been apart for a little bit this summer. I'll be reunited with my little family back, and I'm glad I've been able to help my parents here. A lot of things have happened this summer that I've really needed to be here for, and I'm so grateful that I was able to be here to support them. I get to come once a year and it's a blessing, so I look forward to that all year, and the time in between flies by and I'm back here in December. Have an amazing rest of your day, and thank you for stopping by. I'll see you soon. Bye.